reason began to be appreciated in Europe. So you don't have to believe in God to understand things. So I think, therefore I am, Descartes for instance, right? So that's when the prestige of temple, priest, and religion came to an end. Every man can think and so on. So modernity we have. Now what do we mean by critical modernity? Where has modernity led to? Have we really broken the divide between the East and the West? We have not. Colonialism has come to an end, but neo-colonialism has begun in some way. So there are theorists who articulate, no, we need to have critical modernity. That means, let's see what science has done to people across the world. Has it really benefited? This up and down, East and West divide continues. So all that, that's one critical modernity. Now, I'm trying to use that to understand caste in India, you know. India is very modern. You have exotic information technology pioneers, inventors, and all that. We are sending the cheapest way to Mars, a satellite, than any other country we have done that. This is fantastic achievement for a so-called developing society where probably 70% of the people or 75% of the people are still poor, right? 75% of the people still only can write their name a little bit in a crude way. So which means only the 30% of the people or less, I'm trying to be very liberal, 30% of the people have been really sending satellite to Mars and information technology boom and all that has been happening. How do we understand that modernity? So can we use critical modernity to critique modernity in India? This, which is very, very important. Why do we do this? India is supposed to be the largest democracy. So when we bring in critical modernity, we can democratize modernity a little more, right? So that way, critical modernity, that's what I mean by it. Now, what do I mean by vernacular history? Vernacular refers to the local language, lingua franca. The moment I ask you, what are the languages you know about India, immediately you will say Sanskrit. If you Google today, right now, 2001, I think, census, you will find, or 2011 census, you will find only, I think, 14,600 people speak Sanskrit. So when I saw the data, I was surprised. Am I missing something? It could be at least 14 million, I thought. No, it's 14,600. So how do we understand that? And is that the language by which we understand India? Extremely problematic. And in this problem, how so far in history, in religion, we have used Sanskrit to understand India. How did it happen? So it all began around 1750s and 60s. So we have Europeans going. Who are the Europeans? You know, some Britishers and others. Especially the Britishers knew only Persian language because we had Mughal Empire, Islamic Empire. So Islam has been part of India for long. So Muslims have been our first citizens. And we have had Christianity from 1st century AD. So Muslims and Christians are part of our citizens, primary citizens, right? So we had Mughal empires for long, for many centuries. So Britishers knew only Persian to come to India around 1750s. And then they realized, wow, these guys are really fantastic, doing a lot of good things in India. Now, how to plant themselves as colonialists? They were not there to do something good for India, right? Obviously, they were there to exploit. So they clearly understand they need somebody to go in between the Mughal Empire and themselves. And who served this? Particularly the Brahmins, the Pandits. Please read the book. It's called The British Discovery of Hinduism by P.J. Marshall. It's a very powerful book. Look at the title, The British Discovery of Hinduism. You'll be shocked to read the very word Hindu is Arabic in origin. The Arabs thought the people who live below the Sindhu River are Hindus. It's not, we don't even have the Hindu word before 1750. Not many Indians know about it, you know. So it's a very interesting invention. And so 1750s, you have the collaboration as it goes on from there. So, and then you would be surprised to know the first ever so-called Hindu text that was translated in an European language was Bhagavad Gita, right? Charles Wilkins did it around 1760s. Immediately it was translated, Bhagavad Gita, part of Mahabharata. And then Manodharma Smriti was translated by William Jones around 1790s. Immediately this was translated. So Europeans knew India through these two texts, Bhagavad Gita and Manodharma Smriti. Now, who are the guys who gave this to scriptures, to the Europeans. These are the guys, Brahmins. So there is a clear evidence of P.J. Marshall discussing a group of Brahmins in Bengal interacting with the Britishers, and they gave the view about India. So, and what is the percentage of Brahmins in India today? It's not even, liberally speaking, 5%. We don't even know the data, but it's very clear. It's definitely not more than 5%. So through the 5% of population, India came to be understood from 1750s. And the terrible damage connected with this is also, in a way, connected with Germany, and the department called Indology. For the past, I'm here for the past 3-4 years in Germany. I'm digging through the literature of Indology. Literally for the past 250 years, Brahmin males have come and gone. Here from Germany, people have gone. There's one great professor called Max Muller. I don't know whether you've heard about, a great German professor, Oxfordian. He was thriving in the 19th century, wrote books after books after books about Eastern religion and particularly Vedas and so on. A lot of people are beginning to work now. Max Muller didn't even have a basic understanding, didn't even have enough materials on Veda to talk about Vedas in India. So he was a don of Oxford professor, Oxford professor and so on. So that way there is a sad history of Indology which hopefully comes to an end. It is not yet sure. So that we make a turn to understand through Indology India better. So these are the so-called ancient Brahmins, and the body language and the symbols are very, very important. I discussed this not with any hatred or something. I'm here as an academic, as an anthropologist, as a historian, too. As a global anthropologist, global historian, I would like to discuss with you on this. So this is supposed to be a privileged caste. Now, how do we see the privilege? At the moment I say, when you guys go to India, you think in terms of, I'm going to a Hindu majority country. And so how do we understand? You will again begin with this Brahmin males. I think that's not right anymore. That's a very minority perspective. This is a minority community. We have Christians, we have Muslims, we have, Sumeet said, Sikhs, we have other Buddhists and Jains. They are all different traditions, and they've been there for hundreds of years in India. Why don't we take them seriously yet? That's one of the points that I'm making through critical modernity, right? And these are the modern Brahmins. So you have the ancient Brahmins, and they have not changed much. And so in a way, and these are the priests. What do? They don't labor. They are supposed to be the priests in temples. Not even a Brahmin woman can become a priest. Why? It's not that we are doing something extraordinary in Germany. No. We can't imagine a woman becoming a pope anytime in the next few centuries. So Christianity is no better either. Let's be very clear. I'm not trying to exoticize and attack only Hindu traditions. So, but my puzzle is, since the topic is about India, and then we need to understand caste, a woman, irrespective of her proficiency in Sanskrit, she can never become a priestess. Why? Did the god say no to her? Or the Brahmin male interpreted? So our gender theorists, some of them are beginning to work on that, but we have not gone full throttle to interrogate that. Why can't we replace? And then, so I was teaching in the US for long. I have a degree from Columbia University, New York, PhD, anthropology, all that. So when I was teaching, I was telling this with my American and American Indian students. And then one of the students said, oh, we are experimenting something in California temple. A woman is a priestess and so on. Hopefully she is surviving still. I'm not sure. Right? So America, yes, they could try. And by the way, America, 1,000 temples or more is going to happen. It's already crossed probably. Now, how many temples, why couldn't they actually experiment in America with a Brahmin woman priestess? I don't understand, right? That means there is some serious gender and caste problem within the so-called Hindu tradition, which we have not grappled with very seriously yet. That's one of the submissions that I'm making right now. So, how do these guys become, they are trained from the beginning as children this way. You have a teacher there sitting at the end. These are children. These are all Brahmin children. There is no non-Brahmin upper caste, as Sumeet was pointing out, to the warrior group or a business group or Shudra. No. All these are Brahmin only children. Why? Why shouldn't others be trained in the priesthood? So there is the serious problem of institutionalizing, what I call institutionalizing Brahminism. That means the children are taught to exclude others. Why? If there is somebody, if I am a Brahmin, if somebody is going to be better than me, let me include. That guy is talking about Shiva or Vishnu better than me. You should respect, I should respect my priesthood and move away, right? But that's not happening. There is this exclusionary discrimination is institutionalized. And so that's what I wanted to point out. It's not inclusionary. So there is this divide that is, like Sumeet was saying, that is where I think the mobility problem happens. You are not allowed to move up and down, right? You are fixated. You are fixing. And who is fixing? It's not a lower caste man or a woman who is doing it. It is clearly an upper caste man, particularly a Brahmin male, that I want to point out. This is what modern is. And this is, see, look at this guy, you know, probably is an engineer or a doctor, all that. And look at the symbolism. The dress he is wearing is almost like an ancient Brahmin, the dress style. And the sacred thread. Sacred thread, the thread that goes across the body. There is supposed to be, if a lower caste man wears the sacred thread, he will be killed straight away. If a lower caste man changes his name to a Brahminical name, he will be killed. We even go, Indians go by the names. You can figure their caste from the names. It's not like, you know, Graham Smith. Smith, we know Smith, period, right? It could be a black man or a white man, right? But with some, you know, the Brahminical names, and, you know, and you have that way caste-based names. I think that has to come to an end. So this guy could be a very modern guy. Look at the sacred thread in the dress. I'm questioning why. You are interested in rocket science. You are interested in pioneering medicine. Yet do you have to go to this discriminatory symbols? If you call it as a culture, why don't you include others also into that culture? It's not happening. So that means we need to interrogate. So this is the, so look at the child is not happy there. We know the symbol, what it did to Germany and the world. Swastika, it comes from India. The child is not happy. Then why did we talk about child rights in Germany, right? What would he say? Would the child be happy to have this kind of a hairstyle? I'm not sure. And the swastika written on it. Who did it? Did the mom do it or the dad do it? I'm interested as a sociologist, as a historian, as an anthropologist. So these things go on. Now this is the privileged caste group. Now how do we understand the marginalized? Say, you know, Sumeet kept using the word Dalit, and that means ex-untouchable and so on. We use the word ex-untouchable. You can't call it untouchable and untouchable. They'll lynch you, rightly so, right? You will not like me to call an untouchable, right? So I'm a privileged guy. Then why do you call me that way? You will not go around and say, hey, I'm an untouchable, don't touch me, I'm dirty, and so on. No. You will interrogate me. So that way, when they do that, what is happening to the marginalized groups? How do we